Welcome to Inspire Change, a new inspirational and motivational broadcast that strives to empower men in a positive way. The entire series will consist of only 5 minutes. Yes, 5 minutes, as they are designed to educate, empower, and inspire even the busiest individual on the go over that first cup of coffee. Please join me in welcoming Gunter, international psychologist, author, speaker, and producer.
Hi everybody, welcome back for another thoughtful and interesting, hopefully, podcast on inspiring change. So one of the things that I want to focus on over the next few episodes is the issue about us men and relationships. And this really is at the core of our challenges and our existence, the issue of relationships. So when I talk about men and relationships, the first focus is going to be on our relationship with ourselves. The next episode that I want to then look at is our partnerships. So being a husband, a wife, a partner, and then as a parent. So let me start off with this thing about our relationship with ourselves. And I want you for a moment to think about what that means to you. What do you think is part of that process? And it is a process. It's not something that's static. It changes over time. So one of the things that I see a lot in my practice when I'm working with men is that we're very focused on doing. And we don't often have a really good sense of what it means to be. And so a lot of our attention, in fact, most of our attention is focused externally. So one of the things I'm often aware of is how little we as men often understand how we breathe, the level of muscle tension, the signals that our body gives us in our day-to-day existence. And all of that is very, very important, because if we don't have that, it is very, very difficult to feel grounded in our life. And that's significant. A lot of anxiety arises from that lack of grounding. And so in some instances where people experience a significant level of anxiety, they dissociate. Part of dissociation is, in a sense, splitting off from yourself. So how do I get grounded again? It's through my breathing. It's through turning my attention inward rather than outward. So that becomes a really significant part in change. So what are some of the other aspects to that? Well, firstly, in that process, also ask yourself how it is that you think about yourself. So what are your beliefs, your attitudes, and your perceptions about yourself? Now, one of the core issues that I'm frequently confronted with when I'm working with men is that many of us, deep down, have a deep-seated anxiety of not feeling good enough. So what that brings up is that I'm going to start constantly comparing myself to others. And so what emerges is what's been referred to often as status anxiety. Now, if I don't listen to that inner voice and I don't identify where those perceived deficits are, I also can't do anything about it. But we're very, very apprehensive and often scared about tuning in and doing a reasonable, honest assessment of ourselves, which includes looking at strengths and weaknesses, but not seeing weaknesses as a flaw, a deficit, but rather as something that I can learn from, that I can understand better. Because often what I experience is that what I perceive to be weaknesses in certain situations are in fact strengths. So in that space, where I'm also not listening to my intuition, and I think intuition, as I've said in one of the other episodes, is really, really important. I know from personal experience that when I've ignored that inner voice, frequently something's gone wrong. So coming back to my perception about myself, my inner beliefs, one way of testing that is to ask myself whether I'm treating myself the way that I would treat people that are important to me, like my best friend, my wife, my lover, my kids, if there isn't that balance in that process of relating, then I'm really doing myself a disservice. I'm being overly critical. All right, so here's a little bit of a challenge. Between now and the next episode, think about your relationship with yourself. Are you truly your own best friend? And if you're not, it's time to change it. Till next time.
Thank you, Gunter, and thank you to our listeners in our first super short broadcast series, Inspired Change with Gunter Swoboda. Please join us every Wednesday for a new broadcast by visiting www.spreaker.com/show/inspire-change, which will feature all the ways you can listen. If you have comments or suggestions, email producer@studio3hollywood.net. Thank you and have an inspiring day.